I could have a really bad day in my personal and still do really well in the gym, but it doesn't mean that I could have done the best I could have done. So I keep myself in the zone that I know I get the best.
Fighting out of Miami, Florida, presenting the number 3 ranked UFC welterweight contender in the world, Jorge K-Man
What's the reaction been like? I mean, that fight, it kind of got a life of its own, and it just picked up steam after he called you out at UFC 241. Such a huge event that particular night. The Rock, President Trump, maybe I should have said that in a different order. We're at ringside. Roberto Duran, one of my all-time favorites, was there. What's that been like in the aftermath?
Well, initially when all these things were coming into play, I was trying not to think about it. The president's gonna be watching me perform. Roberto Duran's gonna be walking me out. The Rock is gonna award me with the belt. I try to not think about all that because at the end of the day, it's a fight. You know,
right.
I don't want to think about these outside circumstances that I really can't control. You know, so I just worry about it's a fight. After the fight Sunday, when I got back home and I was to myself, I let it all sink in, man. And it was amazing that all these things lined up. It was amazing, man. It was a really good time.
It shows, I think, the fine line between winning and losing in the UFC. But what do you think the difference was between you losing those fights and not getting over the hump and then coming and doing what you did in 2019?
Well, 17 and 19, a lot of different changes. Cutting off a lot of negativity. Mainly the mindset, but to get that mindset, I had to remove a lot of things from my life. I'm still in that process. Every New Year's, my resolution is trim up some more, clean up some more, get rid of more negative stuff. So that's mainly it. That's the biggest difference from 17 to 19.
How does that affect you as a fighter? Like when you're talking about there's negativity, like so you have problems in your personal life, but that doesn't stop you at the gym, right? You're able to go train and do all that. So how does it manifest itself in a fight? How does a problem that you have in your personal life affect you as a fighter?
It could affect you different ways. It could affect you when you go to training. Maybe you're just in a bad mood and you're overthinking stuff or over trying to hurt somebody. It could go many different ways. I could have a really bad day in my personal and still do really well in the gym, but it doesn't mean that I could have done the best I could have done. So I keep myself in the zone that I know I get the best attributes. I realized this from being away from the sport for a year and just thinking about everything from losses, wins, practices, how I felt, my mindset before a competition or even a practice, a sparring session, and just started running those numbers in my head, like when did I have the best outcomes, when did I have the worst, when I was overtrained and I felt like crap, what was I thinking of, or what was I doing, how was I sleeping? So I just did that over and over and over. I had a year off and I was in a lot of isolation, so I got to micromanage, reverse engineer my whole career. And when I came back to the sport, I just did the things that are positive, that I got positive results from, that worked for me throughout my whole career.
Do you think had you had the mentality that you have today at the start of your career that things would have been differently and that you wouldn't have had to wait so long in your career to get such a big opportunity?
Definitely, but also wouldn't have learned a lot of things. Some things that you can only learn by going through the sport. I used to fight going backwards very well, very technical, but in MMA the judges don't see that, don't credit it. You could win a boxing match going backwards. It's very hard to win MMA, even if you're outlanding the guy 3-1, it's hard. And my numbers show I've lost fights that I was going back. And that's the only thing I was giving up was just ring generalship as I was going sideways. I outlanded guys by a lot more takedowns, more knockdowns, and I was robbed. So I knew I had to make a switch. Naturally, I'm a counter fighter. So I had to make that switch, and that only would come with time, So it was mindset and also the experience that I got from it.
I wonder, some people may know this, we don't have the most hardcore MMA fans on our site, but Kimbo Slice, the great Kimbo Slice, was known as a street fighter out of Miami, and you did a lot of that stuff too. He kind of introduced you to that. How did that make you as a fighter, fighting in those spots where you never know what's going to happen, right? It's one thing to, fight in a sanctioned fight in a cage where you know the rule set. When you're in a backyard fighting some dude, you never know what's going to happen or what somebody on the side may do.
That's exactly it. That's the unknown gray area factor. I don't know if somebody's friend's going to get upset, pull a knife or a gun, And you go with your people to protect you, but at the end of the day, at least me, I don't care for none of that. I think it's petty. I just want to compete, fight, and that's it, Like it was with Ray, we'd shake hands, hug it up, and just give each other that respect, I don't think it needs to be any more than that. Sometimes it would be riots and problems,
Do you feel like that taught you something about the business, you know, going through those, and did you learn about the fight business and what it took to succeed in those kind of fights, even though they weren't considered professional fights?
Just be a dog. What I've always thought, you know, no matter what, be a dog. The guy was considerably bigger than me and hit way harder than me. I remember I'd hit him with like a 3-piece and then he'd come back with one and I'd rock my foundation. So I just, back then in the same way that I am now, I'm a bigger dog. I might be slower, I might be weaker, I might have less technique than you, but I know I'm a bigger dog, and that's always something that I carry into every fight, and I put it on the line every time.